That's an onion sausage. They had them on the grill out here. Hour number 2, welcome back in. It is the Extra Point. Tyler Head and Jack Belcher were live at the Game Summer Golf Classic, sponsored by Krager Showrooms, formerly known as the Nest and the Vista. Typically, at 10 o'clock, we run the numbers with our guy, Corey Parson of the BetMGM Network. Corey not able to join us today, but we are going to look at some numbers because, Jack, we actually have football tomorrow. We have games that count that we can watch on TV, and at the end of the game, one team's going to have a win, one team's going to have a loss, and that counts towards the overall standings. We're finally here, man.
Man, I'm looking forward to it. There are the week 0 haters out there, like our very own Wes Mitchell.
Wes is a denier.
He's a public denier.
And he even admitted he might actually watch Farmageddon tomormer. So we're slowly turning him around.
It's like, why wouldn't you? You have what, number 17 versus number 22? A top 25 matchup.
Wes is under the belief that if he goes to a good steakhouse, he's not worried about the appetizer. He wants the steak. I'm like, well, you can have the steak as well as a pretty bomb appetizer too. Nobody says you can't have both.
Like, what about like a great salad, man? What about
exactly?
So come on, man. Like,
some bloomin' onion or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can have it. You can have it all. You're not limited.
Well, this is Wes Mitchell.
This is Wes Mitchell.
So
I like to make fun of him for that.
Anyways,
there are games happening.
Yes, week 0. So we got the big one tomorrow. Iowa State and Kansas State.
By the way, how do you feel about this being in Ireland? This is the third year in a row they've done the Ireland thing. You had Notre Dame Navy last year, Florida State, Georgia Tech.
Remind me, how was the Notre Dame Navy?
Notre Dame blew them out.
Yeah, that's why.
I thought, because the option, Navy's always going to have a chance, but it wasn't close. Notre Dame ran all over them.
Wasn't that the same case last year? Didn't they play like MetLife last year and Notre Dame like blew them out?
I think they did, because Navy was undefeated going into that game, and Notre Dame. And again, we thought Notre Dame was worse because they lost to NIU, and lo and behold, that team ended up playing for the national championship. Which, like, the Notre Dame connection to Ireland makes total sense.
It makes sense.
They are the Fighting Irish at the end of the day.
By the way, I don't know if we talked about this yesterday. How about the leprechaun logo now?
Yeah, he's running now.
So he's running with a football, but what does that mean for like the basketball court? I think it's just the ND logo at the middle.
Yeah, so he'd be dribbling a ball. Like, what's he gonna be doing?
Exactly. And honestly, wouldn't that look a lot like? Isn't it like kind of like what the Celtics logo looks like?
A little bit, but they're the Fighting Irish. He's in a fighting stance.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not. It's not the worst thing in the world. Some people just call them the Irish, but anyway, that was definitely not on my bingo card of things that happened yesterday.
I guess there's some kind of contract that allows a game to be played in Ireland every single year, even if neither team ties to Ireland. Because I, for the life of me, can't think of a connection between Ames, Iowa, and Dublin, Ireland, or Manhattan, Kansas, and Dublin, Ireland. But we're getting Farmageddon regardless.
Farmageddon, man. So the question: do I like the game in Dublin? I think it's cool. It's cool. I don't want to see college football become the NFL, where they go to Mexico and Germany and all these different places. Because you got to.
Well, Big Ten's going to Germany next year.
That's right. So you got to imagine, like, these guys. I mean, it's a lot of time you're out there and you're getting adjusted to the time zone change and stuff. It's a lot, and you're out there on a job. You're not out there for leisure and fun. It'd be one thing if you want to go to a different country for a vacation, but this is not a vacation. You're going there for work and stuff. And so that could be, I think, a little bit hard to get adjusted to.
Sure.
And so these teams will be ready to play tomorrow, but it's something where I think Dublin is cool because they've done it for a few years now. But I wouldn't want to see college football go do all these other different countries and stuff.
So as of right now, Kansas State is a 3-point favorite. Over under this game is at 51.5. So we're expecting to be pretty close. And again, these two teams ranked pretty close to each other. And kind of diving in, these are two teams that haven't changed a ton in the offseason. A lot of returning production from a year ago. You look at the quarterbacks, very similar with Avery Johnson at Kansas State and Rocco Becht at Iowa State. And both these guys, I think, are kind of in that same category of dark horse Heisman candidates, that if one of them has a fantastic game tomorrow, that can kind of spark that run for them this year as being a notable quarterback throughout college football.
Both are really, really solid quarterbacks. And you talk about Avery Johnson coming back, Rocco Becht, obviously. I'm looking forward to this game tomorrow from a quarterback standpoint. just because, again, I think there are a lot of underrated quarterbacks out of the Big 12, and these two especially. So, I mean, again, it's a ranked matchup. It's college football, week 0. I think it's going to be really enticing to see. And again, one of these teams, they could easily be – I think they're both dark horses to go out there and win the Big 12 this year because there's so much uncertainty with who's winning that conference.
Well, that's the thing for me is I don't think you can consider anybody to be a dark horse in the Big 12 because the conference is so wide open. And both these teams were in contention up until the final couple weeks. Iowa State was in the conference championship game a year ago, and if they would have beaten Arizona State, they would have been in the college football playoff. So this just kind of starts you off on the right foot. And with how competitive that conference is, every win and loss is truly going to matter. So whoever loses automatically starts off behind the 8 ball.
And not to mention, they start off behind the 8 ball with a Big 12 loss.
Yes.
So it's one thing to lose a non-conference game, but these games early on can really screw you in a lot of ways. So it's going to be really interesting to watch this one tomorrow.
So that'll kick things off tomorrow afternoon. I guess that'd be like a 8 o'clock game in Dublin, if I'm thinking correctly, 7 o'clock, something like that.
I remember watching Georgia Georgia Tech last year, and that, I mean, it looked like it was light out there, like during the day. So I don't know what the time zone difference is there.
Because I mean, Europe is typically somewhere around 6-7 hours.
They're about 5 hours ahead.
5 hours. Okay, so it's
3:06. It would be
a late afternoon game.
like 5 o'clock by the time they kick off.
Okay,
so
that's fair.
So looking forward to that one tomorrow.
After that, this game is not on TV anywhere, I don't believe, but you have UNLV taking on Idaho State. The Rebels. Was that
Mountain West Network? I think.
Okay, I don't have that channel.
Yeah,
but
I guess you can get it out there.
UNLV a 26.5-point favorite. The most intriguing thing about this is Dan Mullen has returned to coaching. He's left the ESPN desk. He's out at UNLV. I think that's a perfect place for him, right? I mean, look, he accomplished what he did at Florida. Things went bad there, and they fired him. You can go to UNLV, and look, they're always a good program. They got a good shot at being one of those G5 representatives in the college ball playoff, but the demand is not going to be as high there. Like, again, he had Florida in the SEC championship game and was fired a year later. Yeah. That same kind of pressure is not going to be out there with you in UNLV.
No, like if they get to the Mountain West championship game, I mean, that's good for them. I mean, again, them and Boise State are probably the top teams in that conference going into the season, and 27.5-point favorites tomorrow. So shouldn't be much of a sweat for UNLV. A good thing they're indoors, because I was about to say it's probably going to be super, super hot out there in Nevada this time of year.
Yeah, I did see an article earlier on this week or a tweet earlier on this week where Dan Mullen referred to Las Vegas as a college town. I don't know if I agree with you on that one, buddy.
No, honestly, the West Coast is just not that kind of thing. So, but this is going to be really interesting to watch from that standpoint with Dan Mullen.
And again, that's a UNLV team that once again, they played Boise in the Mountain West Championship game last year. They had a shot at being in the mix for the playoff themselves. Coming up short there, obviously. So if you have the Mountain West Network, you can watch that game. I don't, so I'll have to check the highlights on that one. Fox tomorrow night, 6:30. You've got Kansas playing host to Fresno State. Kansas, a 13-point favorite. Lance Leipold's done a really good job out there, bringing Kansas back to being a relevant program. Last year, Jalen Daniels was coming back from an injury the year prior. Didn't quite look the same. Now, he was very, very good before he got injured a couple years back, and I do wonder, how good he can be and what that can mean for Kansas to potentially be in that mix for that wide-open Big 12. Like we talked about a moment ago.
And don't forget, tomorrow is going to be the first game at the David Booth Kansas Memorial Stadium.
Yes.
The renovated.
They have the rock chalk thing in the end zone.
It looks so much better because they played at Arrowhead last year. So
did they? They played the entire season there? I know they played Colorado there.
I know they played a few games there. They were getting their whole stadium.
But let's be honest.
It looks different now.
Kansas football has been irrelevant for the better part of over a decade. They made it to that, was it the Orange Bowl?
The Orange Bowl in 08.
08.
But they've had a few good seasons recently.
They have. Like, again, Lance Leipold's turned it around. And for a long time, they weren't filling out their stadium anyway, but now they're finally hitting their stride a little bit. Got a new stadium, so we'll see if they're a little bit more juiced and energized going forward. And again, if Jalen Daniels can play like he did a couple years ago, they have a chance to be a factor in the Big 12.
No, absolutely. I mean, they are going to be probably one of the sneaky teams that could probably sneak up on you And look, if they get off to a good start, I mean, they got Fresno State. I know they got Missouri here in a few weeks. I mean, that's going to be really entertaining to watch because that is a former rivalry in and of itself from the Big 12 days. But if Kansas can get off to a good start, I mean, Big 12 play is going to be right around the corner
Sure.
with 9 games. I'm really looking forward to seeing what this Kansas team can do with Jalen Daniels, who is a much better quarterback than what we saw last season out of him.
By the way, they do take on Missouri in week number 3, and I believe, or no, that game is at Missouri. That's not an Arrowhead game. It's gonna be out there in Como. And last time they played last year, I believe. Missouri's been playing the Kansas schools the past couple of years because they had that win against Kansas State recently as well. But yeah, they'll reignite that rivalry coming up there in week number 3, and then that's when Kansas gets into their Big 12 slate, and we'll see how they handle that. You do have Western Kentucky and Sam Houston State, or do we just call them Sam Houston now? I thought they were Sam Houston State.
I thought it was always Sam Houston State too, but it is just Sam Houston on here.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at here. Western Kentucky, 10.5-point favorite in that game. That'll be at 7 o'clock on CBS Sports Network. And then your nightcap, Hawaii hosting Stanford, an ACC school. Hawaii only a 2.5-point favorite. Both these programs had bad seasons last year.
Mm-hmm.
They are, listen, whoever wins this game is one step closer to bowl eligibility, and whoever loses this game is one step farther behind. That's the way I look at it.
Can I just say, this is probably, of the games we have tomorrow, this is probably my second most anticipated game. Just because these are two, I would say two bigger schools in terms of the games that we have going on tomorrow.
Sure.
And again, you mentioned it from the standpoint of like both these teams probably won't be very good this year.
Right.
But it's entertaining from that standpoint because guess what? They're on equal footing in this game.
And that's my thing is I'm going to watch this game expecting something weird to happen. There's going to be a just stupid or bizarre moment because both these programs are just not in good places right now. We are starting the Frank Wright era. He's an interim coach. I don't know if we can call it era, but he's at least at the helm for this season. Andrew Luck at GM and all that kind of stuff. Stanford is trying to turn things around, and we will see if they look any better tomorrow night.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, look, they're going to have I think they have a new quarterback out there now because Ashton Daniels transferred. So that's definitely a big loss there. But I'm looking forward to seeing what Stanford can do this year. I don't think they're going to be very good in the ACC this year, much less how is Hawaii going to be this year, right? You know, they're always a program. I want to see Hawaii get back to the Colt Brennan days of going to the Sugar Bowl. I mean, I think football is better when you have one of these teams.
Sure.
Like 10 years ago, Stanford was that team in the Pac-12.
So that'll get rolling tomorrow. But high school football already underway in the state of South Carolina. Tonight is the start of the high school football scoreboard show with Elijah Campbell and Justin King. We will talk to Justin coming up next and get his thoughts on games that are coming up later on tonight. It is the Extra Point, Tyler Head and Jack Beltry along with you here on your Friday on the Game. Beltry live at the Game Summer Golf Classic, sponsored by Krager Showrooms, formerly known as the Nest in the Vista. Excited about Week 0 football getting rolling tomorrow, but high school football already underway. And tonight's the return of the High School Football Scoreboard Show with Elijah Campbell and Justin Hall. I do have to apologize to our guest joining us now on the AAA Heating and Air phone lines. I referred to you as Justin King. I'm sure you'd love to have Justin King's job, but Justin Hall joining us now to talk some high school football. How are we doing today, man?
Man, I wish I could edit videos like Justin King. That's impressive. I have some ability, not that great of ability when it comes to editing things like that. But what I do have an ability to do is talk high school football. And thankfully, that's what I'm doing.
Well, we're excited that it's finally back. Looking forward to hearing you and Elijah tonight at 7 on the Scoreboard Show. But things already got rolling last night, a good handful of games going on around the state. What stuck out to you for Thursday night's results?
What stuck out to me was that we moved games from today due to quote unquote inclement weather, and then the games got suspended due to severe weather. So that to me is you can't predict some of this stuff, I guess. Lexington and Gilbert were scoreless through the first half. I thought that was interesting. Two defenses, Lexington under a new head coach trying to find their way. Lexington's up in that one 16-7 at this very moment as that game is suspended. AC Flora, the Fighting Tommy Moody's, looked good last night. They beat Westwood 30-19. My Airport Eagles struggled. They were down 13-8 and then lost 37-8. And then Camden and White Knoll in kind of a slugfest, maybe the game of the week in the Midlands. They played their first half last night. They'll wrap up the second half tonight at 7 when the game was supposed to be played originally. Again, I just have to laugh through the pain. Camden's up 13-0. White Knoll was turning the ball over a lot, uncharacteristic of them under a Nick Pelham team. So we'll see if this break in the action, roughly 24 hours between first and second half, help them out in some way, shape, or form. You would hope it does, because that's a really good matchup. I don't want to see one side get lopsided victories there.
Before we get into some of the games that are scheduled to start tonight, you did want to mention as well, there's a lot of brand new coaches across the entire state. I believe 39 coaches statewide, 13 just in the Midlands alone. So a lot of new faces on the sidelines for these schools that we're going to be talking about this year.
Yeah, a ton of new faces in the head chairs, a lot of new coordinators. I'll go ahead and mention that one of the 39 new head coaches is Jake Bentley at Nation Ford. We'll get into that game in a minute. G.A. Mangus, former offensive coordinator at South Carolina. He's now the offensive coordinator at Brooklyn Casey under a brand new coaching staff there. 13 new head coaches in the Midlands alone. A lot of turnover, a lot of new faces, a lot of new looks to offenses and defenses. We'll see how that plays itself out, especially early in the year as teams try to get their footing before we hit region play, and that's when the playoffs will start to take shape.
So you mentioned Jake Bentley there, the new head coach at Nations Ford. We'll start off with that as they get set to take on Blythewood coming up tonight.
Yeah, we'll see what they look like. They looked good in their jamboree and in their preseason game. High school gets preseason games, which is great for them. So we'll see what they look like offensively. I said this earlier today on a preview show that to me, Jake Bentley is one of the more underappreciated quarterbacks in South Carolina football history. Just go look at the numbers, everyone. You're just tainted by what happened under that coaching staff. I'd like to see what his offensive acumen is. Again, his dad was a stellar high school football coach here in South Carolina for years. He learned a lot at his feet, obviously. And a Blythewood team going on the road up to Nation Ford. We'll see what that Blythewood Bengals team looks like, a team that's trying to get some footing. They're in a very difficult region as well. I have a feeling that game is going to be one that has a little bit of offense to it. We could see a final score combined in the 60s.
Again, talking to Justin Hall, who you can hear tonight with Elijah Campbell on the high school scoreboard show at 7 o'clock right here on the game. We'll go up to Florence as the Battle of Florence between South and West. What have we got looking forward to for that matchup tonight?
Well, I talked to Coach Drew Marlowe of the South Florence Bruins last week, and we talked a lot about his team now. It's going to be built on the offensive line. They want to run the ball. They want to move men off the line of scrimmage if they can. But get this, Tyler, they're on the road tonight at West Florence. It's another road game. They only have 3 home games at South Florence this year, which I don't know who they upset and how that happened. But only 3 home games this year, and the 3 home games are toughies with Hartsville, Crestwood, and one other that I'm forgetting off the top of my head. Not only that, but this is the first time in almost half a decade that there isn't a Sellers for the South Florence Bruins playing football tonight. on a Friday night. Obviously, Lenoris and Jaden both at South Carolina now. And you kick off your season on the road with a rivalry game. Who knows what these teams look like? And South Florence struggled early last year, got their footing, and made a deep run in the playoffs. Can they get off to a better start this year under Coach Drew Marlowe? That's what he's looking to do here in Week 0.
Elsewhere, the city of Irmo obviously buzzing for what the Little League team did at the World Series. Unfortunately, their run coming to an end last night. Irmo High School will be on the road tonight taking on Oceanside.
Oceanside Collegiate, defending state champs in 3A. Obviously, Irmo came up a bit short in 5A Division II against Northwestern last year in the state championship game. A play short, literally a play short on that field goal to win it. We talked about no sellers on the field for South Florence. Irmo has no A.J. Brand and no Donovan Murph tonight. They're both gone. A.J. Brand is actually at Virginia Tech, and Donovan Murph is obviously on campus at Carolina. So what does this Irmo offense look like? You can see more ground and pound from Irmo tonight. They should outweigh and outclass Oceanside Collegiate later in the game just by depth for the Yellow Jackets. But this is one of 2 games to start the season on the road for them, Tyler. They start at Oceanside Collegiate, a defending state champ, and then next week they hit the road to Burns to take on the Burns Rebels. So not an easy start for Irmo. Obviously, that's something Coach Brand wants. He wants his team to be challenged early on. Irmo's buzzing. Great run by the Little League team. And obviously the Yellow Jackets on the high school side have been playing well the last several seasons under Coach Brand, and they got to get off to a good start tonight.
Again, talking to Justin Hall, previewing high school football coming up tonight around the state. You mentioned Burns a moment ago. Tonight, they are playing host to TL Hanna.
And it's a new stadium for Burns. They completely renovated and built a new Nixon Field up there at Burns. And what a way to open it up. You get TL Hanna at home. Burns didn't play a home game last year. The place is buzzing. I talked to their play-by-play voice, Cole Bryson, earlier today. There's a lot of excitement around that program. Obviously, Cigar running the football. He's got a lot of looks from colleges around the country, including South Carolina. It's another name we're going to keep an eye on as the season rolls on the High School Scoreboard Show. Elijah and I are going to have a great deal of recruiting talk this year because there are a lot of great high school football talents in this state. And again, that's a matchup, Tyler. If you're from this area, if you're from the state of South Carolina, when you hear Burns and TL Hanna, you hear high school football greatness. You hear tradition, and you hear culture. What better way to kick off Week 0 than with a matchup like that?
And one more here to focus on for tonight: Northwestern taking on Spartanburg.
And all of these to say this could be the best game of the night, Tyler. It could be the best game. Spartanburg, the Vikings had a good run last year, explosive offense. They're playing well. Northwestern, under Coach Paige Wolford, coming off of a state championship. They're replacing their starting quarterback. What do they look like with a junior taking the reins? But he hasn't really started or played any meaningful snaps in his time in high school because he didn't have to. Defending state champions, what do they look like coming off of that state title game? And you kick it off against a very difficult Spartanburg Viking team on the road. These schedules are a bit unforgiving for some of these teams coming off of big-time wins. And I want to mention, too, the one that I didn't hit you with is Jazavian Currents and South Point are going to Huff, take on Smoke Matthews. So a little Carolina recruiting segment there. Obviously, Jazavian Currents committed to South Carolina, and Smoke Matthews chose Texas over the Gamecocks. But that's another matchup that you got to keep an eye on for the Stallions up there at South Point.
It's going to be a fun night of football coming up, and obviously we're rolling throughout the entire fall. And you and Elijah again tonight at 7 o'clock for the High School Football Scoreboard Show. What kind of debauchery can we expect on the airwaves tonight?
Oh, debauchery might be strong. It'll be fun. Obviously, Ed Bird behind the glass. He's gonna make sure things stay on the up and up. We'll have
it's Ed Bird's show at the end of the day.
Yes, he is the Colonel. So it's his show. No, we've got a lot of great stuff this season, Tyler. This is our second year together on the program. I always enjoy working with Elijah. We got a lot of fun stuff. Some stuff involving the community that I think people are really going to enjoy. We also have a league within a league. I'll just give you this. I'll drop this. We're coming up on the 250th anniversary of our nation. And
right.
South Carolina played a pivotal role in securing that freedom from the Redcoats during the Revolutionary War. And several generals fought battles in South Carolina. I'll leave it there. We'll incorporate that into the High School Scoreboard Show tonight.
Oh, that's a great teaser. I love history. I look forward to hearing the payoff to that one. So appreciate it, Justin. And we'll talk to you next week.
Sounds good, Tyler. You guys have fun on the course.
We absolutely will. Justin Hall, again, you can hear him tonight with Elijah Campbell at 7 o'clock on the High School Football Scoreboard Show here on The Game. We have details of South Carolina's new contract with Nike starting in 2026. We'll hit that coming up next. It is Next Point. Tyler Head and Jack Beltry live at The Game Summer Golf Classic, sponsored by Krager Showrooms, formerly known as the Nest and the Vista, on your Friday on The Game. All right, Jack Beltry hanging out with you at the Game Summer Golf Classic, sponsored by Krager Showrooms, formerly known as The Nest, in the Vista. We'll get to the latest on the Nike contract with South Carolina in just a moment, but it is time for Who Sprung a Leak, brought to you by our friends over at American Leak Detection. I think I'll give it out to all the games last night that Justin Hall was just mentioning a moment ago that, unfortunately, due to the weather, which they were moved the first time because of weather, did end up having to be delayed to play today. So a lot of leaks being sprung across the state of South Carolina when it comes to college school football. So those are the recipients of our Who Sprung a Leak, brought to you by our friends over at American Leak Detection. Well, we've been waiting as the Board of Trustees was meeting this morning at 9 o'clock, and we've been following the meeting closely to see what the details of South Carolina's new apparel deal with Nike are going to be. We do have that as of right now. Obviously, will go into effect on July the 1st, which will be a 10-year contract worth $70 million in product, as well as $5 million in cash that will run through June of 2036. So that is South Carolina's new apparel deal with Nike that gets set to start coming up next year. We don't have anything, at least that's mentioned as of yet, that relates to the NIL component of it, which that's something that we talked about with Tennessee's deal with Adidas. That was so unique for them, and we didn't know if that's something that South Carolina was going to have involved with that deal with Nike or not. As of right now, that does not seem to be the case. Maybe there's something in there that we don't know of as of yet, but that's the latest that we have from the Board of Trustees meeting when it comes to South Carolina's new apparel deal with Nike. And I wanted to ask the question to you, and feel free to weigh in on the Firehouse Subs text line at 803-404-6100. What's on your wish list? What do you hope to see from Nike as they take over South Carolina's apparel coming up next year for all the sports teams? And again, Carolina's been with Under Armour since 2007. It's almost been 20 years since Under Armour's been outfitting them for all sports, and they've created some unique looks. You had the military inspired uniforms from back in the day, grays, all those kind of things that South Carolina's had in the past, and we don't know if Nike would come in and completely redo the uniforms, or if they just kind of take what they already have, put their logo on it, and go from there. I would think they'd kind of give it their own little twist. That is something that typically happens when Nike takes over for a new school. Again, Carolina's had kind of its own unique look with Under Armour over the years. One thing, personally, if I had to go for my own personal wish list, I would like to see the return to traditional block numbers. I don't know what font you consider Carolina's numbers to be. They got a little bit bigger last year, but I've always been a fan of traditional block numbers. I thought the throwbacks they wore last year, going back to the early 1980s, the George Rogers throwbacks that had the big, solid block numbers on them, I thought those looked phenomenal, and I wish they would wear them every single week. That's something that could possibly be on the table when it comes to Nike. But let us know your wish list, 803-404-6100 on the Firehouse Subs text line. I was just talking, obviously, about the contract that we now know with Nike, Jack. 10 years, $70 million in product, and $5 million in cash. We're still trying to figure out what exactly that means from an apparel deal perspective.
Yeah, and did you see the I know some of the media members that are there, they've been posting the picture of the jerseys. So go to here, I'll pull it up on my end. And if you guys are listening, it's if you have a Twitter account, it's probably on there somewhere. But yeah, so the new jerseys are, well, they look pretty much the same.
Oh, okay. You know what? That is a little bit more. I was just talking about this a moment ago. That is a little bit more of a block type of number.
Yeah, they look more like Nike quality.
They do, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, they're subtle differences. Like, you have the Nike logo, obviously, but it's like it has that Nike feel to it, where it's like it's tight a little bit.
Sure.
But it's like it has that I don't know how to describe it.
The shoulders look a little bit tighter. Now, for the most part, it looks like it's kind of keeping to the form of, hey, you got black, garnet, and white. You still have the stripe on the shoulder. Really, it looks pretty close to what you have right now. I think maybe the neckline's a little bit different.
Yeah, and the what is it, the crest area?
Yeah.
It's kind of, I'm assuming it's going to be like that Nike, like, I don't know what, like that mesh.
Sure.
So it looks a little bit different, but not like any like substantial. Like, oh man, like yes, these are going to be new jerseys, but it's not going to be like, oh man, these are like new jerseys. Like, this is a complete rebrand.
Again, the numbers do look a little bit different, which again, I'm a big fan of block numbers. Those are block numbers, so I am happy about that. Is there anything particular that you would put on your wish list that you hope not? And it just doesn't have to be limited to football. You can do it for any sport.
Not gonna lie, I wish they would move the Gamecocks and the Carolina logo up just a little bit. It looks a little. Does it feel squished a little bit?
Maybe a little bit. Now again, we're looking at a picture of them holding the jerseys. Perhaps when you actually have it on with the shoulder pads, it'll look a little better placed.
Maybe. Again, I think it's mainly because of that crest area.
Sure.
So notice how there's no SEC logo. I don't think that'll be the case.
Yeah, sure. they'll have a conference logo.
Yeah.
The conference is not going to let you forget what conference you're a part of. That's for sure.
Yeah, no, but any changes?
And again, this doesn't just have to be football. If there's something you'd like to see tweaked with baseball or basketball or whatever, go for it.
I would like to see. I think we need to see with Nike, and they do this really well. I think, well, depending on the team, of course, they do this pretty well with the professional leagues, with the NBA, the MLB, teams like that. NFL's starting to get some new jerseys now. I would like to see at least one new jersey added for each of these teams within the next 5 years. Like,
so, in terms of like different color, a different style,
like for, I don't know, like for football, maybe like a throwback jersey or something.
Sure.
Like, you know how we got the throwback helmet a few years ago?
Yeah.
What about the jersey to complement that? You know.
Yep.
So I think something like that could be cool. I would like to see baseball get a nice throwback jersey. What they did this year with Under Armour was a nice step in the right direction, but something like that more consistently with Nike. There's a lot of opportunity out there. I think basketball could really use a new throwback jersey of some sort. Something different would be really nice for Nike to really start to leave its mark with South Carolina here.
And I do wonder, because I loved the George Rogers throwbacks from last year.
Oh, yeah.
Again, I thought the numbers themselves just looked great alone. I do wonder if Nike would continue with that. Again, in this picture that we have from the Board of Trustees meeting, there is no fourth jersey. You just have the black, garnet, and white. So I don't know if that's something that they would have to redo themselves or what.
I think if South Carolina wants it, I think it'll happen.
Sure.
I think the players really like it. I think we're going to continue to see obviously we're seeing the helmet this year.
Which is good. Well, it's at least the bigger logo.
Yeah, I don't know
it's not going to be the stars, which those look cool too.
I would imagine we'll see that jersey at least once or twice though this season.
Yeah. So let us know your wish list for Nike as they take over as the apparel provider for South Carolina. We'll hit some of that coming up next as we wrap up hour number 2. It is the Extra Point. Tyler Head and Jack Beltry live with you here out at Charwood Golf Club for the Game 7 Golf Classic, sponsored by Craig's Showrooms, formerly known as the Nest in the Vista, on your Friday on the Game. All right, welcome back in. It is the Extra Point. Tyree, Jack Felcher, wrapping up hour number 2 as we're live here out at the Game Summer Golf Classic, sponsored by Krager Showrooms, formerly known as the Nest and the Vista, talking all things apparel deal with South Carolina's new deal with Nike. And you actually have the full contract in front of you now, which did answer one of the questions we just had a moment ago. It does seem like South Carolina will get another alternate added into their mix of usual uniforms.
Yeah, so that's one of the main things here is that there will be an alternate uniform. Now, I just pulled this up, and I saw a good friend here, Ben Portnoy, tweeted out the details initially, and it said in his tweet that there's going to be an alternate uniform. Not sure if that is, so let's see. So, yeah, so it will be for football. It says Nike will provide USC with bespoke alt football uniform as part of an energy program, including more than 15 elite college football programs during the first half of the term. The cash alternative is $10 million. So I guess that means if South Carolina declined to get an alternate uniform, then this would be the case to go. One other thing before we get back into the alternate uniform, the big thing, there's going to be Asia Wilson integration. So obviously, Asia Wilson, she signed with Nike and stuff. There is going to be Nike will provide USC basketball with Nike branded Asia Wilson signature sneakers.
Sweet.
The A2, including USC specific colorways to wear on the court. Nike will also explore Asia Wilson travel and other team gear for USC women's basketball during the term. And of course, the cash alternative is $15 million to be paid on July 15th, 2027, if not provided. And Nike will feature USC in a Asia Wilson related marketing during the term. So a lot to take in there. Again, go over to GamecockCentral.com if you want to check more of this stuff out in terms of the inner details and whatnot. But the alternate uniform, I think that could be something that is South Carolina has a lot of room to play with there.
Sure.
I think they could easily go with the throwback uniform that they had this past year. The guys really seem to like it. But I think this also gives you the opportunity to do something completely different.
Yeah, and KT from Lexington says they made a battle uniform for Oregon. I believe it had feathers on the shoulder pads. Something like that would be cool. Obviously, Oregon is the Nike university, so they get a little bit more than everybody else. But, yeah, something maybe radically different. I know they had the grays and stuff in the past, so you can maybe go down that route. But something outside the box, something vastly different that I don't know. Because was it 2015? Where they had the helmet that had like the Gamecock feathers like coming out of the front of it or something like that.
And I wonder what the helmet situation would be. Like, is that something Nike has control over, or
I would think because the
helmets are not made by Nike though.
They're not, but I mean typically when we think of a full uniform,
it has to go.
The helmets are part of it. So I imagine, and I don't think they're gonna stray away from what Carolina has with white, black, and garnet. As of right now, could you add a fourth one into the mix? Certainly, which again kind of goes back to that white one they had about a decade ago. But yeah, maybe something. I don't even know what it would be for like uniform to do something kind of outside the box. There's a lot of possibilities out there that I think would be exciting regardless.
Yeah, no, it's a really interesting opportunity South Carolina has here. Again, this just feels like stuff that, again, I don't know what happened with Under Armour and stuff, but I feel like this is probably something where South Carolina just has a lot more opportunities here with Nike.
Sure.
And a better future overall because of that.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you do something where instead of Carolina or Gamecocks across the chest, you have the Gamecock logo or something like that. I don't know. Maybe you get a more detailed, Gamecock or Surbig spur on the shoulder or something along those lines. You just do something different and just kind of throwing some things out there.
Yeah, I think honestly too. I mean, and here's the other thing. We talked about the gray jerseys, the camo jerseys that Under Armour used to do back in the day. I just wonder though. Nike probably wants to separate itself. Yeah. Probably doesn't want to copy everything that Under Armour did.
I got it. Cocky uniforms.
Like the women's basketball ones?
A little bit, but like Western Kentucky has the big red uniforms where they have the different poses for him on the helmet depending on what position that you're playing.
This is true.
Something like
yes.
that. You could have a cocky uniform where, like, for I don't know if Seller's going to be here next year, but for quarterback, he's throwing. For a lineman, he's down in a 3-point stance, like kicking, kickers.
I would like that. I think that'd be cool. Again, if Nike has total control over the helmets too, I think that would be something that would be pretty interesting, to be honest.
Yeah. So again, thinking outside the box here, but a cocky inspired, you could have yellow cleats, like for the feet, right?
What's up?
You could have like yellow cleats for the feet.
You could. This is definitely screaming outside the box.
You got some ideas here.
I like it. But you know what? Also, I know Nike likes this simplicity.
They do like simplicity. Well, they do now.
They do now. It seems like everyone likes simplicity now.
I remember do you remember the Nike Pro Combat days?
I do. Yes.
Where they were doing something radical.
Remember those Georgia uniforms
from
like
the Power Rangers?
Oh God.
Yeah. So how did you
want
to know how I know Georgia was going to lose that game? Because they wore those uniforms.
Yeah, who they play that day? Like
that was Boise
State. Yeah.
So it was Power Rangers versus Stormtroopers because they were in all white. Georgia was in red/black and the multicolored helmet. It was a whole thing. That I think Nike got that out of their system because back then they tried to do something radical with every Nike school, and now it has kind of reverted back outside of Oregon to more simplicity.
Yeah. I do wonder, though, how long are we talking before South Carolina does a complete overhaul of their current uniforms?
That's possible.
Because, with South Carolina's current uniforms now, the major change was where the stripes were.
Yes.
Right? And there's a lot of other little changes, but, like, the uniforms now look different than they did, like, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
South Carolina's undergone a lot of uniform changes over the years.
Yeah. Now, I do wonder if, like, Nike looks at it and says, well, they kind of have a signature look because Carolina's uniforms are unique. I wouldn't go out there and say, well, they look exactly like somebody else's. So maybe they see the sense of that identity already being there and not wanting to change that too much.
Yeah, probably not. But again, I like the way things are heading with this. I think it's really good for South Carolina to get on board with Nike here. It seems like a really good deal for them. I like the incorporation of Asia Wilson. I think that
makes perfect sense.
It's going to be something where I wonder if they have any new uniforms for them. Again, I think there's a lot of opportunity here for the programs here at South Carolina with their athletic programs to get really creative with what they can do moving forward.
You could do a specific Asia-inspired uniform. That'd be cool.
Something like that would be cool. Again, Under Armour made some good uniforms for South Carolina, but I think Nike can really do a lot better in a lot of ways.
I wonder if Nike will want to have like a Dawn Staley specific line of apparel or something like that, because you have a very unique case with legitimately one of the best coaches in that sport.
They'd be crazy not to. I tell you right now, Tyler, I'd be genuinely shocked if they did not do some Dawn Staley collaboration. Like it's gonna happen.
Yeah, you would think so. You would think so. So excited for that. Again, those are the details. We'll hit on more of that as the day goes along. But South Carolina official with Nike as their uniform apparel provider starting in 2026. Jack, don't go too far.
I'll be back here in an hour.
You'll be hopping back on with me here in an hour. I'll talk with Chris Clark. Coming up next in the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Talk more about this and the SEC's 9-game schedule coming up next here on the game.
Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet studio. Herndon Chevrolet is our hometown dealer. Stop by
Can you flip the
today
camera around?
shop
There you go.
online 24/7 at HerndonChevy.com.
All right, so go click on one of those blank squares on Box Pro.
Wall-to-wall sports and scenic views. When you're hungry and in a hurry,
see those blank
Scratch Kitchen
squares on
delivers
Box Pro?
lunch in the clutch. I mean, where else can you order a 29-degree
Yeah,
draft
just the
beer
ones that
and
don't have
a quickie
anything on
combo on your lunch break? Only at Twin Peaks.
Yeah, so just click on one of those.
Twin Peaks Scratch Kitchen scores every
On the
time.
left-hand
Chicken
side,
smashed burgers,
see if you can
chef
find
inspired
my
flatbreads and more at your local lodge.
Yeah, it says Tyler Head. So scroll down until you, or search in the little name bar at the bottom for Firehouse first off.
Of each slab. See all our new showroom has to offer and experience our custom hardscapes crafted to perfection.
It's the other keyboard, the one at the top.
Workmanship. Take us for granted. Your journey to perfection starts with us. Carolina Stone
There's-
Craftsman.
are there two?
Columbia and Chapin and beyond your
Which one's
expectations.
the newest one?
CarolinaStoneCraftsman.com.
Hey guys, it's Jay Phillips for the men's clinic. You know, too often guys will not go to the doctor when they're feeling off, whether it's because
0701.
they can
Click
tough
that.
it out or because they don't want to talk about it. Don't be that guy.
And then
Get
hit
to
open.
feeling better
There you go.
after you see Dr. Dan Bachman.
So let's see what
at the
else
men's
we
clinic.
need.
They are experts in healthcare for men.
Game
and
day
they're
men.
dedicated
So do the
to
same
making
thing
you
for game day and
feel like
integrated
yourself.
media.
Call them up for a free consultation, 803-875-MENS, and learn more online at themensclinicsc.com.
Attention construction pros. Purple Wave Auction brings quality equipment to your
There should only be
fingertips.
one.
Our bi-weekly online auctions featuring dozers, excavators, loaders, and
Integrated.
more. We provide detailed listings, photos, and seller contact info. Inspect online or in person with our no reserve policy.
What's the
Every
newest
item
one?
sells to the highest bidder. Visit purplewave.com today and see why informed.
Yeah, that's fine.
Purple Wave, transparent processes, real deals. Your next great
All right.
purchase awaits.
So when those ads play, just play it on Box Pro like normal.
Coffee corner. Our coffee has caffeine.
All right, and then we're talking to Chris in this first segment, so call him.
Average doesn't build great businesses.
Thanks.
Cumulus Digital does, outperforming industry benchmarks by more than 25%. We deliver smarter digital marketing to over 4,000 mobile businesses every month and drive real, measurable growth. You're not average. Your marketing results shouldn't be either. Visit cumulusdigital.com to start outperforming. It's built tough, priced right. Now for a limited time, Cato's Power Equipment is offering up to $300 off of most Toro Time Cutter and Time Cutter Max models. Are you interested in paying off your new Moro over a few years? No problem. Cato's has financing plans to fit most sizes, budgets, and even less than stellar credit scores. Cato's Power Equipment, Columbia's home for the tools you need to maintain your truck. 4012 West Beltline Boulevard and online at CatosPowerEquipment.com.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job in ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
Your home for the Gamecocks. 1075 The Game. WNDT Silver Columbia. Cumulus.
All right, Tyler, I got him on standby.
Sponsored by
Welcome in, 11 o'clock on your Friday morning. It is the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Tyler Head live here at Charwood Golf Club for, again, the Game Summer Golf Classic, sponsored by Krager Showrooms, formerly known as the Nest in the Vista. It is, I don't know if it's still raining or not. A little bit gray out there, but not too hot today, which hopefully makes for some good golfing weather, and we'll try and get some course updates as the day goes along. Chris Clark is not here. He is joining me on the AAA Heating and Air phone lines. Chris, you're missing all the fun. I've already had an onion sausage this morning. It was delicious. Got Firehouse Subs coming up in the next hour for lunch. You're missing the fun, man.
I do regret that I cannot participate in either of those things because those are actually two of my favorite foods. So that is unfortunate. I would also try to maybe effort going out to the driving range and hitting some balls. Sure. Is Josh Yeldman out there on the range right now?
So I last saw Josh about an hour ago. I would think he's around here somewhere. He's out there. Okay, Jeannie said, actually, there he is. Boom, he's right there. I have eyes on Josh Yellman. He's got a bucket hat on. I don't know what that means, but he's here. So you have your confirmation, Chris.
He's sweating profusely like he does in pro swing from hitting the links.
He's not sweating yet, but I'm sure it's coming. Actually, he's gonna hop on here and tell you himself.
It's a little muggy out today. I'm gonna be honest. It's a little muggy out, but good golfing weather. I'll take this over 100 and sunny.
Sure. Yeah.
So.
Well, we don't have Josh. Josh, we don't have at pro swing your what is it, Torrey Pines or whatever hole, but you do have the driving range out in front of you. So
it is much easier to mulligan at Pebble Beach.
Yeah.
Over and over again
Pebble
than
Beach.
It is out here. Yeah. Pebble Beach. Hole 7, Chris. Come on. It's happened twice. Get it right. I'm out.
Yeah, got to get that right. Thanks. There's Josh going out to sweat now, and probably brag to people about his hole in one. Either way, a lot of things to get to today. Fort West got some family stuff going on, so he won't be with us today. So you're flying solo, and you have a chance to really expand your lead here in these trivia questions, Chris.
Oh, this morning I'm driving up to Richmond, Virginia today for work, not to go play, of course. And we'll probably talk about that later. Big announcement potentially for the Gamecocks later today that I'll be covering this evening in Richmond. But I was wondering, will I get an opportunity to go solo on the trivia too? I feel a little guilty, to be honest. But I missed some time too where Wes could try to expand his lead as well. So I guess it's fair.
All fair in love and war, man. So today we have 9 days until kickoff. Were you aware that Deebo Samuel wore number 9 when he was a redshirt here?
Wow. I had forgotten that. That is that rings a bell now. Man,
so,
how about
that?
So,
of course, we're not going to get to do a one-day trivia because that'll be next weekend. So I figured why not? A perfect opportunity to bring in some Deebo Samuel because he did technically wear the number 9 at Carolina, even though it was the season that he didn't play. But I'll count it regardless. Yeah. So when he did finally play, do you know what his longest play from scrimmage as a South Carolina Gamecock was?
That's a good one, Tyler. That's a really good one. So I'm not sure. I will take a stab, a guess.
Okay.
I'm thinking first play from scrimmage against Kentucky, and I want to say, was that 17, 19? 17 maybe? 75-yard slant pattern touchdown against Kentucky. I'm not convicted of that. I do know that long touchdown happened, so I'll go with that.
That is a very strong guess. However, it is not the correct answer. He went 89 yards on a slant against Florida in 2018. Did not score a touchdown. The Gamecocks were backed up on their own 4-yard line. Took it all the way down to the Florida 7. That was his longest play from scrimmage as a Gamecock.
Yep, and that one. I remember that one now. That was the game where I think Carolina got out to a lead and wasn't able to. I'm actually thinking of the wrong game. Yep, I remember that one now. At Florida, right, Tyler?
It was at Florida, yes.
Yep, I remember that one now. Man,
now
that was one of those that I kind of in the back of my mind. I remember, but I had to be reminded of it.
So I will give you a chance for a bonus half point here. In his career, do you know what his passing statistics at South Carolina were? Do I have to get the yardage or just like the? No, do you just tell me how many attempts, how many completions, and how many touchdowns? I'll count that.
Okay. I will go 1 for 1 with 1 touchdown to Brian Edwards in the Clemson game.
You were halfway right. It's actually 2 for 2 for 2 touchdowns, both to Brian Edwards. Also threw 1 in the Georgia game in 2018.
Golly, yep, I remember that too now. So close.
Oh, you had a chance. You still got the lead, but not the expanded lead.
Okay. Yeah. Missed opportunity for sure with West out, but nonetheless.
Yeah. Oh well. We got one more week of this, and we'll see who we got to determine what the winner of this gets next week.
All right.
We'll figure something out. Either way, again, a lot of news that's happened in the past 24 hours, both Gamecock and college football related. And Jack and I just in the end of the last hour there were detailing the details of South Carolina's contract with Nike, the board of trustees, meeting earlier on today to finalize all that and put pen to paper essentially. And we do now know that South Carolina's deal is 10 years, $70 million in product, $5 million in cash that will run through June of 2036.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is what we were all looking forward to, Tyler. You know, obviously came out yesterday in advance of the Board of Trustees meeting that South Carolina would be switching over to Nike. It's long been a big point of discussion in Gamecock Nation, whether it's people that wanted to switch to another apparel company, wanted to stay with Under Armour, whatever it may be. And I think we were all kind of waiting on, all right, what do the terms look like? And so
right.
I think we were all looking for a couple of things. You know, what would be maybe the total value of it? What would be the length? And then what does the actual agreement look like? You know, we went through this a little bit yesterday. Kentucky re-signed recently in conference in the SEC with Nike, and their deal was basically product plus royalties. Tennessee signed their deal with Adidas, and while the terms, I think, from what I've seen, have not been publicly available, my understanding of that deal is that there's not product. It's mainly cash and NIL promises and things like that. I think this is a good deal for South Carolina for a few reasons. Number one, it does give you the switch to Nike that, frankly, many fans have been clamoring for, but I think this makes a lot of sense given the ties, you know, to some of the prominent figures around the university. Dawn Staley. I think Shane Beamer is going to be very fired up about this deal and is going to use it on the recruiting trail. We know the ties that the new deputy AD, Wesley Millett, as well as Jeremiah Donati being at TCU, a Nike school. There's a lot of ties to this brand. That can help you with things like a royalty structure. South Carolina is getting a 15% royalty rate on net sales. You've got to figure once this actually happens, South Carolina will be with Under Armour through next year when that deal expires. But once the new Nike product starts hitting, you got to figure there's going to be a lot of sales from Nike-based products. So, you know, you look at what they're getting in some cash. The product is very important because apparel is very, very expensive for schools that have to actually buy it. They're going to be getting a nice chunk of that, you know, gifted to them basically by Nike as part of this deal. And then you have a chance, obviously, to make more money on the back end off of the royalty structure.
Yeah. The one thing that I think we were interested in seeing was similar to the Tennessee deal, which, again, we don't have details of, but we know there is that NIL component baked in there. It does not seem like, at least right now, that's something that's a part of South Carolina's deal. Doesn't mean that it can't happen. Obviously, you can't have individual deals with players, but that does not seem to be, at least by the contract that we have, part of this deal with Nike as of right now.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of the unknown, Tyler, and honestly something I'd like to dive into to kind of try to report on this in the coming days and weeks is what exactly does that look like? Because I've been told very generally that NIL can be a component of this deal. Now what does that mean? Does that mean Nike striking some deals with players? Does it mean you know, it's some of the supplementation in this contract, you know, some NIL related things. I'm not completely sure of that.
Right.
It's not, you know, it's not maybe a cornerstone part of the deal just with what's been outlined in the terms. But I do think, look, Nike's a very recognizable brand, obviously, and I think that's why a lot of people, Gamecock fans, have wanted to switch to Nike. You've also got the fact that Under Armour has, you know, they've lost a lot of market share, to be frank. They're pulling more out of the college apparel game. You went through it yesterday, Tyler. They've got a few major kind of cornerstone brands, but they're now completely out of the SEC. So unless you wanted to be on an island as an Under Armour brand in the SEC, I think this makes a lot of sense. And frankly, I think there's a pretty good deal here for South Carolina when you just look at the terms that are in place.
Have you gotten a chance to see the pictures of the not new uniforms, the uniforms with the Nike logo on them from the meeting earlier?
I have not actually seen those yet.
So they do look pretty much the same, I will say, and this is something I've been an advocate for. Block numbers, those do appear to be on tap for next year, which I'm a big fan of. I think that just looks a little bit cleaner, better to see on TV, those kind of things. But for the most part, and there was something in that contract that Jack and I looked at where there's the option for an alternate or just taking the money that the alternate would have cost. So we don't know what way they're going to go with that, but you did see at the meeting, you had the white, you had the garnet, and you had the black uniform, pretty much standard to what we've had with Nike these past handful of years. So it does seem like you're not going to have a radical overhaul, at least in terms of how the uniforms are going to look for the time being.
Yeah, Nike has said that they will revamp the football uniforms, the women's basketball uniforms, like you said, the additional alternate uniform for the football team. And I think, too, interestingly, Tyler, we know Dawn Staley's ties to Nike.
Yep.
We know Asia Wilson's ties to Nike, who played here at South Carolina, obviously. And South Carolina basketball is going to get signature shoes and travel gear from Asia Wilson, which I think is a pretty cool tie-in to all this.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Makes total sense. And Jack and I were saying, hey, if you could figure out like an Asia Wilson-inspired alternate jersey, I think that'd be pretty neat, too.
Yeah, no doubt. Probably going to be some cool things in the works here. But, interestingly, there's going to be some anticipation here because, of course, this is not any sort of immediate changeover.
Right.
We are going to, see the teams continue to wear Under Armour gear through next summer when the contract officially expires. But very interested to see where this goes.
Well, we'll talk about the other things happening around college football at the bottom of the hour. We'll let you go for a couple minutes because I'm going to talk with our guy, JP Hovey of Bussin' the Boys. So safe travels for the next 20 minutes, and we'll talk to you then.
All right, Tyler. See you then.
It is the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Tyler Ed live at the Game Summer Golf Classic, sponsored by Krager Showrooms, formerly known as the Nest and the Vista, on your Friday here on the Game.
Starting this Monday, August 18th, the Game expands into Charleston on WIWF 96.9 HD3. So you'll be able to hear the game in Columbia, Charleston, Myrtle Beach, and Florence. Also on the 107.5 The Game app and streaming on The Game TV radio. Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet studio. Herndon Chevrolet is your hometown dealer. Stop by today or shop online 24/7 at HerndonChevy.com.
Do you remember the start of the 2017 season? Debo Samuels took the opening kickoff to the house against North Carolina State. Well, Gamecock fans, if that happens again this year, your Gamecock gear could be free. Now through August 30th, every Gamecock purchase qualifies for our kickoff return refund program. Just shop in store or at GamecockTraditions.com, and if the Gamecocks run back the opening kickoff on August 31st, everything you bought could be refunded. See store or website for full details. Gamecock Traditions, where now until August 30th, your Gamecock gear might just be free.
Summer was fun, but now fall's approaching. It's time to get your home fresh and clean for the fall season. Call Zero Res Carpet Air Duct Cleaning today. Mentioned by name, Elijah Campbell at 107.5 The Game. Get a free hallway with 3 weeks of carpet for only $129. Don't let TV just deal today. Book online at ZeroResColumbia.com. Zero Res. It's the right thing.
They say you can't always get what you want, but you get what you need. At the Haven Harley Davidson, we say, why not both? The fact is, a new Harley, and we want your old bike. We'll give you top dollar for your trade, especially since demand is through the roof for Sportsters, Softails, Trikes, and touring models. Any make, any model. So trade in and trade up. Now, visit thehavenharley.com. We want your bike, and you need your freedom. Get it all. The Haven Harley Davidson.
Summer in Columbia. And if you are a business, you too can have the guaranteed protection of Rhino Shield. Just ask Mike.
I was watching TV one night and saw the Rhino Shield ad, and I thought, well, if they can do a house, they can probably do a building.
Rhino Shield's not pain, it's better.
So they came out and they gave me a price, showed me how the Rhino works, how it lasts, and how the guarantee works.
Business or residential, you can get the guaranteed protection of Rhino Rhino Shield now for 10% off the regular price.
They waited for us to leave and they worked Saturday and Sunday so they wouldn't affect our business at all. This was the great part of it. I came back Sunday night and you couldn't even tell they were here. There was no paint on the ground. They did a fantastic job.
Here's owner Dan Hoey.
This offer is limited, so call today at 833-RHINO-99 or visit RhinoShieldCarolina.com. Don't paint, don't vinyl, go Rhino.
The Fall Classic is back.
A classic for the fall for sure. The Fall Craft Beer Card returns, and many of the lineup you will recognize, like Angryfish, Old Chicago, Beer Keller, Columbia Craft, Savage Craft, O'Hara's Public House, Steel Hands Brewing, The Village Idiot, and more. A fall classic that you have come to cherish and save with is returning on August 29th. The Fall Craft Beer Card on Sweet Deals. Keep listening for further details.
I'm still going with higher stroke risk from atrial fibrillation and a regular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Over a 3-year study, Eliquis and Pixaban tablets reduced stroke risk and over 97% of Eliquis patients did not experience a stroke. A first stroke occurred in 2.9% of warfarin patients versus 2.3% of Eliquis patients.
Don't stop prescription Eliquis without asking your doctor. Stroke risk may increase. Eliquis can cause serious and potentially fatal bleeding. Don't take if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or bleed longer. A spinal injection increases blood clot risk, which may cause paralysis. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding or bruising, or back pain, tingling, numbness, muscle weakness, or incontinence. Aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners increase bleeding risk. Tell your doctor about planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
Gamecock Central Takeover Hour with Tyler Head, along with Chris Clark and Wes Mitchell from Gamecock Central. Sponsored by Firehouse Subs. Call or text 803-404-6100 on the Game Network and on the 107.5 The Game app.
The Games 2025 Summer Golf Classic, sponsored by Gregor Showrooms, formerly The Nest, in the Vista on Gadsden in Columbia, on the Game Network.
Welcome back in. Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Tyler Head flying solo for a little bit here out at the Game Summer Golf Classic at Charwood in West Columbia, but excited to once again have our guy, JP Hovey from Bussin' with the Boys podcast joining me now on the AAA Heating and Air phone lines. JP, unfortunately, Wes and Chris are not here, so you just have to deal with me for the next 10 minutes or so. But how we doing, man?
Tyler, I'm doing amazing, and we're never flying solo when the boys are out here chopping it up, talking about Gamecock football. I'm fired up to be back on.
Absolutely. Appreciate you taking your time. And I think everybody here locally is as fired up as ever for what the season's going to be. Obviously, you guys have been talking a lot of college football on your show, getting ready for the season. So what's the vibe? What's the feel for this season starting in 9 days?
Dude, I think it's always a good sign. Josh Pate, future commissioner of college football, he's got his ear to the ground at a lot of universities, and he doesn't say things lightly. And when he came on the show the other day, he talked about the underrated wide receiver room in Columbia. And I'm with him. Not enough people are talking about it. There's a reason that we do have all this buzz around Sellers and Dylan Stewart, but there's going to be more buzz that's coming based off what I'm hearing from people that have been at the practices and all of that. So it's a great year, man. I think this, as always, I said it last year, this could be the year.
By the way, shout out to our guy, Josh Pate. Does the deal with On3. He has the thing with y'all now. I saw him on Get Up yesterday. Like, this guy is quite literally everywhere. And again, his content is phenomenal. I love that he's working with you guys now, and I trust what he says. So I fully believe it.
Dude, he has his story, to anybody that wants to get into this space, you got to look at Josh Pate's story. It's awesome. It's just hard work, grit. Didn't have any connections getting into the industry, and it's inspiring. And I also think it's a reason he resonates with the Gamecocks so much is because we have an inspiring football team. The people of America are learning about Lenora Sellers. They're getting inspired by him. So it's a perfect marriage all around.
Well, it's an exciting time, not just for the season coming up, but we've been talking about it pretty much all morning long. And the deal with Nike getting done earlier on today to be the official outfitter starting in 2026. And we're younger guys, obviously, and we understand the appeal that a brand like that has to these younger guys, 17, 18 years old, saying, hey, I want to go play for a Nike school, have the apparel and the deals and all those kind of things. Like, this is really, really huge. And I'm so excited to see South Carolina be fully outfitted in the swoosh next year.
Dude, it's massive. And even a funny little story, because I used to work at IMG Academy, and one of a bunch of different recruits, whenever they would go on these visits, one of their little tricks was go with an empty backpack, don't pack clothes, because the schools will give you a bunch of gear and everything. And obviously high school kids love gear. And it sounds dumb, but like you're saying, it is important. And I promise you, kids are definitely showing up with empty backpacks more to Nike schools than they are to the other brands. So it's great for the fans too, because I love, Nike polos, Nike shorts, the whole deal. So overall, I got to believe it's a massive W.
Again, talking to our guy, JP Hovey of the Bustin' with the Boys podcast here in the AAA Heating and Air phone lines. As we look to the season ahead, again, you got the Virginia Tech game coming up a week from Sunday in Atlanta. That'll be cool, but a lot of really big home games this year. Obviously, Clemson, Alabama, Oklahoma coming to town, road trips to LSU, Ole Miss, things like that. Well, what are you kind of circling as the games that you're most excited / maybe most nervous about this year for the Gamecocks?
Yeah, I think most excited and nervous got to be LSU in Death Valley. You know that week is going to be juicy in the locker room with all the fuel that we have from last year's game. But LSU has an awesome roster. Obviously, they're getting pegged as, if there's a year Brian Kelly's going to win a championship, it's going to be this year. But hopefully we got that fire lit under us from last year. And then another kind of sleeper game, obviously Alabama is massive, get back to. But what I'm excited for is Oklahoma in Columbia, because recently everyone's been getting high on Oklahoma and John Mateer for good reason. He's talented. But I think you're able to send a solid message to, like, hey, the buzz doesn't belong in Norman. It belongs in Columbia if we're talking about new rising SEC teams. So those are the two games I'm most excited for. Clemson, you already know where I stand, penciling in as a W.
Well, and you mentioned this program being on the rise, and this being, year number 5 under Beamer, and with the exception of, the 2023 season where they did miss a bowl, this is a program that's overachieved every single year based on what preseason expectations were. Now you have a situation where a lot of people do have them in the playoff. They do have them in the top 12 in the AP poll. Like, this is kind of rarefied air that Carolina's not really used to, at least under the Beamer era. And this is an opportunity, I feel like, for Coach Beamer to really solidify what this program is under him, is like a consistent winner that hopefully will be once again a threat for the college football playoff.
Yeah, I'm with you. I feel like this is the year that South Carolina can make the jump into becoming an upper echelon program. We have so many guys that wore the logo that are studs in the NFL. Like, we have the players out there, but it's just the overall, like, we need another one of those 3-year runs of 11-2, whatever it may be. But it feels like this is the year. It feels like we're primed for it. Beamer and the staff's been putting in as much work as possible. And it's also the year, I think, that you take that next jump in recruiting, where you do start to sign more 5-stars. If you have a great year, you get a bunch of 4-stars, you continue to win the state in recruiting. And I can't wait, man. I'll be there in Atlanta too. 9 days can't come soon enough.
Again, talking to JP Hovey of the Bustin' with the Boys podcast here on the AAA Hitting in Our phone lines. And you're one of the, I'd say, few Gamecocks that's out there represented on some of these national shows. So when you're trying to get other people to drink the Carolina Kool-Aid, what are your main selling points, and how successful are you in selling people this team's going to be legit this year?
It's been a lot easier to sell the Gamecocks than it has in the past, because of obviously the stars of Sellers and Dylan Stewart. But what I tell people is, look, we all love, everybody our age, Tyler, you would agree with me, we love that Tavon Austin highlight that you turn on YouTube at the beginning of every college football season. I tell everyone, in 20 years, the highlight that people are going to turn on is the Lenore Sellers highlight. It's going to be fun. It's going to be physical. It'll be fast. And he just plays with the passion and joy that that everybody can resonate with. There's not a single person out there other than Clemson fans that hate Lenore Sellers. So Sellers is obviously the selling point, no pun intended, but it's been, he makes the job a lot easier.
So let's make some predictions. Obviously, tough schedule. Again, we went over the home and road games a little bit there.
Yep.
At the end of the season, what's the schedule? Where are they going to be sitting in the playoff standings? And are they playing those meaningful games in December and January?
Yeah, October will be a huge month for us. I was talking with somebody earlier today. I'm thinking, 10-2 is we're definitely in the playoff. I feel great about 10-2. I feel great. My bias, lifelong Gamecock fandom in me is obviously we're 12-0. This is the year that we go undefeated and run the table. But if I'm out here speaking to the world, it's like, okay, a little bit realistic, 10-2, because we're going to have massive highs. In South Carolina, we don't have a ton of highs all the time. So maybe we have a little bit of a lull, drop a couple. But going into the playoff, like last year, I think we'll be peaking at the right time. But this time, we'll get to extend it into the postseason and show people what's going down in the 803.
Well, I don't think anybody's going to go undefeated in the SEC, so there's no shame in being 10-2.
No.
And we saw a year ago, you go that mark in this conference, you're getting in the playoff no matter what.
Exactly. And I think last year was the perfect example of that Beamer has to draw from of like, hey, guys, every single week matters, and you can't let up. You can't slack off on one single play because that play can be the difference between us getting in and not. You know how it felt last year. We don't want the same feeling this year.
One more here, about 2 minutes. We now know the SEC is going to go to a 9-game schedule. Starting next year, you have 3 fixed opponents. We've been debating all morning long. Who should those locked-in opponents be? Do you have 3 favorites that you want to see the South Carolina Gamecocks play every single year?
I want to play Tennessee every year because being in Nashville, I can't. They're climbing up. They're probably my number 2 most least favorite fan base, and I love the rivalry that was kind of starting to build. So I'd love to play Tennessee. I would love to play Georgia because I love when we beat Georgia. We always seem to somehow sneak Georgia. And then the third team, I always go back and forth because you want to take down the best always, but you also, it's a long year. You want to be strategic. And I do think we have a little bit of some bad blood, kind of, and I wouldn't hate seeing Missouri in there.
Okay,
Trophy
so you want to keep the Mayor's Cup going, then I respect that.
Yeah, but I mean, I want everyone. I want all the smoke.
Sure. Oh yeah, to take on all comers. No challenger is too big or too small. But man,
Right.
We appreciate you as always, dude, and I'm sure we'll be talking to you more as the season goes along.
Definitely, man. Appreciate all that you're doing. Shout out to you for riding solo. I know it can be stressful out there in that world, but you're crushing it. And hopefully I'll see you guys this year.
Absolutely, man. Keep doing what you're doing. We love your content. And again, we'll talk to you here soon.
All right, man. See you later. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. JP Hove with the Bussin' with the Boys podcast. We'll continue on, get back into that 9-game conference schedule for the SEC starting next year as the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs rolls along from Charwood for the Game Summit Golf Classic, sponsored by Krager Showrooms, formerly the Nest and the Vista here in the game.
All right, everyone, 11:15 here on the game, which means it's right at lunchtime. So if you are hungry, like I am, check out our friends over at Firehouse Subs, 15 locations all around the Midlands and growing as always. Shout out to our guy, Larry Chandler, owner and operator of all 15 Midlands Firehouse Subs locations. No matter where you are in the area, they can hook you up. Lunch, dinner, catering, all those options are available. Check out their great menu and their new limited time offering, which is the Smokin' Triple Stack. You can get it traditional sauce or the Carolina Gold, both delicious. You may need a fork. That's okay. No worries. No judgment on the mess. FirehouseSubs.com or download the Firehouse Subs app. That's my favorite method. That's our favorite method around here earn yourself some rewards points towards future Firehouse Subs purchases, and you can use the Rapid Rescue to go. So your sub is waiting on you wherever you are in the Midlands. FirehouseSubs.com.
Welcome back in. It is the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Tyler Head along with you live at the Game Summer Golf Classic, sponsored by Krager Showrooms, formerly known as the Nest in the Vista. Here at Charwood, as the golf is rolling on, it's starting to look a little bit better outside, so that's good. And hopefully we get some updates from the course here coming up in a little bit. Chris is back on the AAA Heating and Air phone lines. You missed our combo with JP Hovey. He's always a fun guy to talk to. We'll have to get him back on so we can have the whole squad here for that one next time.
That's right. Yep. JP's a good guy, Gamecock guy, doing big things. Always good to hear from him. Look forward to it next time.
Absolutely. You mentioned you're on the road up to Richmond. What can you share with us about where you're going and what's going to be discussed later?
So sometimes, Tyler, there are some secret projects, as you know, but This
Right.
one not so secret. So going up to Richmond, Virginia, to St. Christopher's School up here, which of course is home to Darius Gray, the 5-star offensive lineman. He's rated by the Rivals Industry Ranking, which is the average of all three now of the major recruiting services, as the number one interior offensive lineman in the country. So obviously a high-profile guy and a significant target for South Carolina in the 2026 class. I think even maybe heightened a little bit by the fact that Carolina actually lost a 4-star offensive line commitment yesterday in Kamari Blair, who flipped to Tennessee out of Clarksville. But Darius Gray, regardless, was going to be and has been a huge target for South Carolina. Tyler, we talk a lot of times about how some of these top targets have been recruited for literally years, and he certainly fits that bill. His offer from South Carolina came in June of 2022, and he was already on the radar before that. So you're talking about a guy that the staff has literally recruited for over 3 years. Shane Beamer, Lonnie Teasley, Sam Serbay, Darren Usher from the recruiting support staff. Those guys have been all over Darius Gray for quite a while. He's visited no other program as many times as he has from South Carolina, even though he's from Richmond, Virginia. He's been on campus, I mean, a double-digit amount of times. South Carolina got the last official visit in June. That was the last visit of his entire process. And Carolina's led for a good portion of the time, but some other programs, as you could imagine, for a guy of his profile, of his skill level, his ranking, have certainly risen up to be a challenger, namely Tennessee. LSU is the other one to watch. Those are kind of the two programs that are the ones to watch going into tonight's announcement as well.
June 22. Would that be going into his sophomore year of high school, or no? Would it be his freshman year? Am I thinking correctly?
That'd be his freshman year. Yep, that's right.
Goodness
that's
gracious.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's on the radar early.
Yeah, on the radar for a long time. And look, again, South Carolina set the pace for a while, but you knew with someone like him who's scheduled, he took full advantage of, Tyler, of the new official visit rules put in place a while back. You know, it used to be traditionally you're taking 5 official visits. That's all you're allotted. One to each school, you got 5. Now there's not that limitation. So Darius Gray ended up taking, 7, 8 official visits, but South Carolina got that last one. So you had to figure, other schools were not going to go down without a fight here, and it's indeed been a fight. I think it was critical for the Gamecocks to get him back on campus to, again, get that last official visit, just kind of reinforce things after a kind of a prolonged period where he was going and visiting other schools and had not been back to South Carolina for a while. Them getting that official visit and getting that last official visit, I think, was crucial to where, if you're following kind of the industry, a lot of picks, a lot of, predictions have come in for South Carolina. And I do think that once again, that South Carolina has been setting the pace for him going into the announcement. And it would be obviously a significant pickup if they can finish it out.
Well, follow along Chris's coverage all day as you wait for that announcement coming up a little bit later on. I did want to hit this. We talked about it this morning already, but the news kind of happened fast yesterday. It went from speculation to being confirmed that the SEC is indeed moving to the 9-game conference schedule in 2026. And it almost kind of doesn't feel like news because we've been talking about this for the better part of the past 3 or 4 years, but it now is indeed finally going to happen.
It is going to happen. And, obviously with something like this, Tyler, the opinions are split, whether you're talking about the fan base, whether you're talking about coaches, administrators. I know Brett McMurphy had a piece for On 3 where he talked to people from the Big Ten, administrators and coaches, same with the SEC, just to kind of get the pulse on this. And I think one immediate thing to point out, there are some programs that are going to have to shift their schedules around for the future because they've already got 4 non-conference games slated in the future. And of course, you do that math. I'm not great at math. You're going to have to nix one of those. For South Carolina, more immediately in the 2026 season, they only have 3 non-conference games scheduled. That is Miami to open the season. You've got Clemson bookend at the end of the season. And the Gamecocks also have a non-con game with Towson. So they will not have to change up the schedule. You'll just be adding in, another conference opponent. And it just kind of seemed to work out for them that way. Then I go, locally, how should Gamecock fans think about this? What does the administration and staff think about this? And of course, we've talked often about how Shane Beamer has said, hey, look, if that's what we do, or ultimately we're not afraid of competition. For Shane Beamer, his hope is, and what he's pointed out is, look, we do play a tough schedule every year, and every single year South Carolina is going to play Clemson, and they're going to play a Clemson team that, I don't know if you guys have been paying attention, over the last several years has been very good.
Yep.
Whether it's being a championship level program or a program that's just going to win 9 or 10 games every year, even if they're not a championship program, and doesn't show any signs of really falling off from that. So you're counting 9 SEC games. You're counting Clemson. You look at the future schedule for South Carolina. They're going to play Virginia Tech, who's not a world beater, but it's not Ball State. No disrespect intended. Or someone of that ilk. They've got Miami for the next couple years after 2025. Miami's on the schedule in 26 and 27. So for Shane Beamer, he's most concerned about, hey, College Football Playoff Committee, let's please recognize that and maybe place greater weight than he feels like that has in the past.
Well, and that was the thing is, we had the metric that came out earlier on this week from the committee saying, hey, we're going to take your record based on who you play into account more, which again, I thought they were already doing that, but they basically said, hey, we're not going to penalize you from playing better teams if you happen to have an extra loss. And that was the only green light the SEC needed to make this happen.
Yep, that's right. And, I think, look, does this get us a little bit closer? One of the points of contention between the Big Ten and the SEC was the number of conference games. Now, the Big Ten couldn't have a gripe with the South Carolina. Like, look at South Carolina's schedule last year. Look at it again coming up soon. They're going to play Clemson. They're going to play even if an eight game conference schedule plus Clemson. If you're a Big Ten school, you shouldn't really gripe about that if you're the Big Ten conference. But are there some others that have lighter schedules? Sure. So this gets those conferences back on an even playing field. We know that those conferences are driving the discussions in terms of a revamped college football playoff. And so does that get us closer to both of those schools being able to come together? And we know they're going to have the power and ultimately setting what that's going to look like. So this seems like another important step in that process.
Absolutely. We'll come back. We'll wrap up the hour. It is the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Tyler Head live at the game, Summer Golf Classic at Charwood Golf Club in West Columbia, sponsored by Krager Showrooms, formerly known as the Nest and the Vista. Chris Clark on the AAA Heating and Air phone lines. We'll wrap up the hour next here on the game.
For Carolina Sports Talk, dial in to 96.9 The Game on HD3, 96.9 FM, and on an HD radio, punch into HD Channel 3. You'll unleash live Carolina coverage you can listen to all day long, new on HD3. It's 96.9 The Game HD3, South Carolina's newest sports station.
Our friends over at Game Day Men's Health can help you as a man reclaim your vitality by optimizing hormone levels. They specialize in TRT or testosterone replacement therapy, which will help boost your energy and strength. And they're a lot different than other clinics that do similar things. They have in-house labs that can deliver your results in just 15 minutes. They're conveniently located in Northeast Columbia near I-77 and Two Notch Road. Comfortable man cave style clinics with TVs and refreshments while you wait. Also great, they don't use any long-term contracts. Flexible plans tailored to your needs. TRT tests available to check your levels with absolutely no obligation, and then ongoing monitoring committed to your success with expert guidance. You can get started by going to gamedaymenshealth.com/North-Columbia. Again, located just off I-77, or give them a call, 803-265-3161.
Welcome back in. It is the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Tyler Head here at Charwood Golf Club in West Columbia. Chris Clark joining me on the AAA Heating and Air phone lines, wrapping up the hour here on your Friday on the Game. And Chris, I wish we were here talking about Irmo's Little League team heading off to the U.S. Finals tomorrow in Williamsport. Unfortunately, not the case. They fall to Nevada for the second time this week. 5-3 last night in another just scrappy, hard-fought game. But the story does come to an end for those guys in their pursuit of the championship. And you obviously have a closer connection to that team than all of us here. But, man, they were fun to watch, and they did not go down without a fight.
No doubt. You knew they would win or lose. It was going to be a team that, it's a great word, scrapped, fought, clawed, and they certainly did that and came up just short. And, I mean, Tyler, we were explaining to the kids last night, you know, they watched the game with us. We're all into it. They watched the last several, and their minds were kind of blown. Their kid minds were kind of blown of like, okay, well, how many teams are left? Is it like 50? Is it like 20? We're like, no. Like, they got to like the very end, basically.
Yep.
You know, they win that game. They're in the final two of the U.S. They would be in the final four overall. Like, it is a heck of an accomplishment, and it's been cool to see. You know, people are divided among lines of, hey, Gamecocks, Clemson, pro teams, even, you know, high school teams, and Irmo, Chapin, Dutch Fork, whatever it may be. And, you know, to see everybody kind of rally behind those guys and the coaches and the families was really cool. You know, you got a sense, Tyler, at one point during the game last night when they come back, when Joe Giletti hits that homer, ties it back at 2, and there's a few other points where you're like, they might come back and do this thing again, you know, and they just came up just short. So really disappointed for them, but certainly excited for what they accomplished.
Yeah, and again, those are memories those guys are going to have forever. And Jack and I were talking about this earlier. You know, what kind of rock stars are those guys going to be when they go back to school? I'm assuming at the beginning of next week, and, you know, all their classmates and stuff been watching them on ESPN and, you know, making top 10 on Sports Center and all those kind of things. Like, man, that is truly something those guys are going to be remembered for forever. It was fun to watch. Again, unfortunately, come up a little bit short, but I would say they probably had the best highlights of any team when it comes to the comeback wins and the shocking moments. I think they really captured the hearts of the country at the end of the day.
Again, America's team, you know, I mean, there's no doubt. Everybody agrees, but everybody's talking about Irmo Little League, you know, so it was really cool. You're right. Tons of you know, like top plays, viral moments. So super cool. And look, the thing is, I know those kids still want to be playing. I know the families still want to be out there, but, you know, they missed the beginning of school. They haven't slept in their own bed. And I mean, coming up on close to a month, you know, several weeks. So I'm sure they're exhausted, you know, physically and mentally. Hate it for them that it's the end of the road, but it was a heck of a lot of fun to watch. And you're right, it's going to be lifelong memories. I mean, you know, a lot of people, not even a lot of people, some people grow up playing Little League and they're fortunate enough to make All-Stars, and that's cool. But hardly any of them get to go out and actually be in the Little League World Series, and beyond that, actually make a deep run into the Little League World Series where you almost had a chance to play for the U.S. title. So really cool stuff there.
Well, with that, we turn our attention fully to football now. They get rolling tomorrow with Week 0. You got a feel on Armageddon or Farmageddon tomorrow afternoon?
I'm trying to remember. I think I turned in my pick. I think I picked K-State, Tyler, just as a spoiler. I think I picked K-State. I'm actually going to be on the road during the game, and you know, hopefully, you know, I'm not getting myself in trouble by this, but I'm certainly going to have to try to find a way to put that thing on the phone or find a radio stream or something, right? I mean, got to pay attention. But I do think I'll be home before the game's over, noon, right?
Okay.
So
yeah, noon game. So yeah, 3:30-ish probably before it's over.
Yeah, I think I'll have time. I'm going to leave Richmond early in the morning and be able to do that. Do you have a pick?
I went with K-State as well. I'm a big believer in Avery Johnson, and that's going to be a wide open conference. It's a lot of fun to watch, that's for sure.
Yeah, man, should be fun. Week 0, I mean, football's here. That'll be
is.
the marquee game, but hey, I'm gonna watch the other ones too. I don't care.
And hey, next time we talk on Monday, it'll finally be game week. I cannot wait.
That's right.
All right, safe travels. Looking forward to the announcement coming up later, and we'll talk on Monday.
All right, thanks, Tyler. See you then.
This has been the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Coming up next is the halftime show live from the game. Summer Golf Classic, sponsored by Krager Showrooms, formerly known as the Nest and the Vista, here on the game.
Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet studio. Herndon Chevrolet is your hometown dealer.